here.
Are you in here yet? Oh,
Yes.
you did just add it. Okay, excellent. And Margaret, the name of your channel again, I'll never remember it.
Oh my God. Hello, everyone, by the way. Hello, everyone. My camera's this way.
We
At It's
snuck
a
up on
Crime
you.
Media.
That's what it feels like sometimes when you turn on somebody's camera and
I
they don't
know.
know it yet, So I put you into the room and you didn't realize it.
I was
So
putting my description down for my people that I'm live streaming to, and I think I am live streaming, I believe, unless I screwed it up.
And we'll soon be adding a network of channels. So we have a new channel called the Cold Case Desk that I'll soon be putting up on these once we get to the more formal shows that we're starting next Monday, where we'll be broadcasting every night, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock, whatever other fun stuff you're doing in life, give it up. It's not worth it. It's more fun to be with us. So whatever you're doing
Absolutely.
from now on, Monday through Friday, we expect you to be here. But tonight we have a different show. We're going to be bringing in it for the easiness to say his name. We're just going to call him Nemo because that's the easiest way to say his name. But his name is Nehemiah Cionello. Nehemiah Cionello. So we're going to bring him in a moment. And we're bringing in a bunch of new reporters on the channel. And Nemo's actually from Myrtle Beach. And it turns out that Myrtle Beach has a really interesting approach to cold cases. This is something that Margaret discovered. What'd you find out, Margaret?
Yes, so I've been to Myrtle Beach, Kevin, and it's known for its beautiful beaches, its boardwalks, and of course the golf and tennis resorts. But behind the fun lies a darker story, and that is one of unsolved murders and grieving families. So Myrtle Beach, believe it or not, currently has 10 unsolved cold cases. And Horry County alone, which is Myrtle Beach's county, has around 60. And some go as far back as 50 years. So the clearance rate for murders in the county, believe it or not, is only 53%. And that's not very good because it means that nearly half of the homicides remain unsolved. But the reason we think that Myrtle Beach is unique is because the county has rallied back. And that's the people, the citizens. And that's what's really cool about Myrtle Beach and Horry County. So we'll be talking about what they're doing to combat that horrible unsolved murder and cold case data that they have, or statistics, I should say.
So what's different about their approach? How are they fighting back different than other communities are?
Yeah, so what they're doing is back before COVID, I believe around 2013, the police department formed a cold case unit that was different in that it consisted of volunteers, like citizens in the community. And in Myrtle Beach, of course, it's a retirement town. So they had, retired detectives, retired police, probably retired assistant DAs like me. And they had more of a community outreach feel for this. And they put their minds together and they would meet at least once a month. And it was 500 years of experience. That's what they said, balled into one to try to really get a grip on these unsolved cases. And then after COVID, what they did was they reformed and they called it something else. I forget what they called it, if you remember, but it's the same principle where members of the community talk to each other and say, okay, let's see what we can do.
So basically this initiated from outside law enforcement, it sounds like, if I'm getting this right, largely from former law enforcement. However, it was embraced by the law enforcement community there because they recognized that they needed help. And that's the part that's probably a little bit unique, right? Where they actually embraced it.
Yeah, because Kevin, you and I were talking today on the phone how, for Cold Case Desk, I'm reaching out to try to get great guests. So whenever I reach out to a police department where I don't know somebody on the inside, I fill out that form and I explain that I'm a former prosecutor and we formed the cold case desk, and we're very interested in helping to solve or
Mm,
bring publicity to some of these unsolved cases, whether they're missing persons or cold cases. So, sometimes we hit a brick wall when we're reaching out to these various police departments because they think we're, I don't know, just your average internet sleuth, or perhaps they don't have time, they're busy. So, it's frustrating for members of the public to try to get any information.
right.
Like
Right.
last time we talked, Kevin, we were on Cold Case Desk. We were talking about a 1944 cold case in Situate. Well, I've reached out because I'd like information on the file, but of course, nobody's gotten back to me. But don't worry, I'll keep digging. I'll keep trying.
And this is important too, because I was recently reading a book by John Douglas, famous former FBI profiler, on which the series Criminal Minds and many of those other things were based on. He's one of the original FBI profilers, and he says in his book that it's a mistake that this book was on the BTK killer, because he's got a lot of books out. But he said it's a mistake by law enforcement to not utilize the public in this. In fact, in his opinion, within hours, if not within days, certainly, that if law enforcement doesn't have a solid suspect in a murder case, they should be releasing information to the public. Now, select information. Obviously, there's certain things they're going to withhold, but they should be consciously using the public by releasing that information. That might get someone to come forward to say that they saw something, they heard something. And that's usually the key to solving these cases, is some kind of a tip like that, which is kind of like what we're trying. That's the main purpose of this project that we're working on here with the cold case desk, is to try to reach enough people that eventually people will reach out, which has happened to me several times in the past. So we have low enough numbers here now, so we're just starting out. But I think once we get bigger, we will have more success with having people reach out to us.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to having some really cool guests on. Every time I do research for Cold Case Desk, like for example, today, Myrtle Beach. Okay, dive into Myrtle Beach, which is really cool. And then I find out that based on, all those retired detectives working with the community to try to solve some of these cases, let's have them on as guests. And I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if they did join us. So I'm excited to reach out to them. So it's a great project in that we can really reach out to certain members of law enforcement or members of the community, and especially, as we'll be talking about later, the guy that has his own boogie board sonar equipment where he looks for
Yeah.
people underwater. So we'll get to
Right.
that. And I think I definitely want to see if I can get that guy on. But
All right.
it's quite exciting, I think.
So
And you
let's
do
bring
too.
in
Yeah.
our new Yellow Cottage Tales cold case desk reporter, Nemo, who's down in Myrtle Beach. And so he will have a focus for us in crimes and missing people that take place in that area, but not only in that area. He's gonna develop as a regular co-host, and we'll see a lot of him as he gets to know us and we get to know him. So let me bring him in. Nemo, nice to meet you in person, kind of in person.
It's good to meet
In the
you. Can you
online way.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you good.
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear us okay?
I can. Fantastic. Crisp.
Awesome.
Are you guys? How is the hurricane's not affecting you unless you're on the beach down there, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, as of now, like the weather has, I mean, it's been pretty rainy, but nothing too crazy.
Right. Have you been down to the water to see the massive waves?
No, not in the recent day. I've been, I don't know, busy with my other jobs during the day.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know Nemo just got his master's, but it's not in criminology. So we're gonna in a few minutes, in a short break, we're gonna come back to talk about what is billed as Myrtle Beach's most interesting case, and we'll see what Nemo's thoughts are on that most interesting unsolved murder case, and we'll see what his thoughts are on that. But for now, let's talk about what is it about this project. You and I talked for about an hour a couple weeks ago. What is it about this that interests you the most? So it really captured your imagination.
I honestly, the ultimate thing is like, I think it's a big opportunity that I'm just interested in from like multiple angles. For starters, like I'm definitely interested in, I love a good mystery, a good puzzle or problem. I'm like the problem solving type. So I love the idea of like getting experience in like investigative like journalism or something like that. Beyond that, like I'm also trying to like sharpen my I guess, skill in terms of storytelling. And I think that's kind of ultimately half the time is like what you're trying to figure out with a cold case is storytelling. Right. And like my specialty would probably be, I guess, multimedia, making videos and whatnot. So I guess I'm like interested, and I've made a lot of like personal videos, and I've worked with a lot of, I don't know, brands and companies, but like this seems like an awesome opportunity to, I don't know, sharpen my skill, like storytelling or working alongside, I don't know, investigating cold cases and making like a multimedia presentation of that if I get the opportunity.
That's cool. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So what so Nemo, I'm going to guess at your answer. Well, I'm not going to say it out loud though. Are you more interested in cold cases or cases that are actually have already been solved?
Oh, definitely cold cases. Like nothing probably gets me like more interested. Like I'm very much a person who always wants to like know why. So that's the basis, I think, of a cold case is there's a big why and there's a lot of questions and no answers. So like that's what probably interests me in cold cases is answering what has yet to be answered.
Yeah, it's a puzzle that has to be somehow figured out, and I'm the same way. That's what's always attracted me to them. And then a lot of times, once the puzzle is solved, I lose a lot of interest in the case because they've already captured it. Not always, because sometimes there's strange elements to the case that makes you say, why did this happen this way? A lot of people are still fascinated with the Kohlberger case, like why did he do what he did? And stuff like that. What area are you originally from?
I'm actually originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born and raised there, so definitely on the other side of the country, but lots of character there.
So maybe we could make you kind of the Albuquerque reporter too, because I know that there's a lot of interesting cases.
Oh yeah, it's that the Southwest area is just, it's definitely something to say the least.
That was what was it? Better Call Saul. I think that series was set there.
Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. That's right. Those are two of the best written series ever. It's so well done.
So are you familiar with some of the Myrtle Beach cold cases and the unit?
Not really. I'll be honest. I moved here maybe a year and a half ago, so I'm still now. I'm like definitely warming up to like I have my bearings and stuff like that. But that was interesting as you guys were talking about that. I was like looking a couple of things up. That's super fascinating to me. I didn't realize. That's been one of my goals, I guess, since I moved out here. Is like I love history, so like if anything, like cold cases and things like that, and like unsolved murders, that's like part of the history of a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what we should do, Margaret? We should see if what's the name of that group out there? I highlighted the Unfinished Files. Is that what they're called?
Unfinished Files. Yes.
So
Unfinished Files.
Yeah, we should see either we reach out to them or Nemo himself reaches out to them and see if they'll let him kind of join the team and work with them, and that way he'll have direct access to because it sounds like they work right with the local police.
Yeah, they do.
And so.
In fact, here's a write-up about them. So I did quite a bit of research on them today, and it was founded because, in their opinion, law enforcement agencies have limited or no cold case or missing person divisions, meaning they're not being actively investigated. So families and friends and communities of victims are really out there looking for answers. And they also believe that unsolved violent crimes leave dangerous people in our communities. And of course, that makes sense too. So they felt to address the critical need, they brought in seasoned law enforcement officers, investigators, and of course, regular individuals like us. And the framework is to engage in basically their idea of giving back. And I think it also gives them a chance, like sometimes we talk about, Kevin, to work on the puzzle. And sometimes they'll go back to the very beginning. They'll examine the crime scene photos. They'll they meet and they have brainstorming sessions. So they go back to what they call the first vantage point, the first point in the past where an examiner can visualize the scene and the crime itself. So, but it's great. It's a great thing for the community. And I've actually looked at some of the cases that they're working on now, so we can talk about those. And also you know what? I think that you'll love the boogie board guy. Like, that's pretty wild.
That's really great that you put words to something that I didn't know what to call before. So one of the questions that I've had when it comes to cold cases is you're looking at this and saying, where exactly do you begin? And you're saying that they would call it the vantage point, and the vantage point would be, what is the earliest that some witness saw? I think if I got that right.
Yeah.
So that some witness saw what happened at the scene,
Yeah.
And so that would be the first vantage point, right?
Yes,
Perhaps
the
if there's
first
some
vantage
surveillance
point, go
video
back.
right.
Yeah, but a lot of these cold cases that I'm coming across, unless they're, from the past, say, 3 or 4 years, the video cameras, the surveillance cameras, they weren't working that day. So that's what I'm running into.
Right.
It's like, oh, great.
Right.
They had
Like
crappy stuff.
like with Epstein.
Yes.
All right. So why don't we jump? Let's do this as a case study. Why don't we jump into what Grok told me is the most interesting unsolved case, and we'll see what Nemo thinks of this. Let's see what Nemo put on his detective shoes. There's not a lot to go by here, Nemo. I gotta tell you. So we'll see what you think here. So this was from May 3rd, 2013. So not too long ago. The victim's name was Amber Marie Berbiglia. She was 23 at the time, living in North Myrtle Beach. Like most people, just moved there temporarily. And at the time, she was outgoing. She was popular. She worked as a waitress at a local restaurant. She was studying costume design at Horry Georgetown Technical College. She was engaged to her fiance, Jose Tolsa Solar, but he is not a suspect because he has the best alibi you could ever have. He was in Europe at the time. So he was actually in London. So he's not a suspect. It's very sad because she had recently picked out her wedding dress and they were planning to move to England as soon as she was finished. And so not long after this, she would have been moving. She's not involved in drugs or prostitution or anything suspicious in any way at all. So on May 3rd, she's on her way to start her restaurant shift at 4 p.m. So it's daylight hours, and she's last seen alive that time. Now she's discovered at 4:30. So not long later, her car is discovered there were 4 teenagers that were doing what's called mud bogging, which is off-roading in muddy areas. So they must have had some off-road vehicles, and they were driving along probably in a riverbed that was muddy at the time. So they were on a remote dirt path off Old Sanders Road near Robert Edge Parkway in North Myrtle Beach. The vehicle that they found her vehicle was stuck in mud under a bridge with the keys still in the ignition, and some reports say that it was still running, some don't. And her body was found in nearby brush about 30 feet from the side door, lying in a pool of blood. She was still warm to touch, naturally, because she was just on her way to work and her shift started at 4. So the attack had occurred very recently. Her cell phone was just inches away from her hand. In fact, it continued to chime with notifications as the first responders were there. Initially, authorities thought she had a gunshot wound to the head, but the autopsy results confirmed that death were from severe blunt force trauma, and inflicted from a heavy object or repeated blows. There were no signs of sexual assault and no weapon was recovered. So what it doesn't say here is, did the vehicle come off the bridge?
Yeah.
That's what's not very clear. And I get the impression that it did, but I don't really know that. It doesn't say. So let's let Nemo respond first to that. That's all we got, Nemo. So if you want to put on your Columbo outfit, I don't know.
Unfortunately, I just have this. But I would say I'm trying to think. I think I know where you're talking about. The way, like, I think Grok is putting it, and I feel like the car is intact. I'm sure, I guess we could come up like if the vehicle came off the bridge or not, and I think that would determine a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like for me, from what you were reading, it sounds like the vehicle is like still intact. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm approaching this from the angle that like the vehicle is still there and something I guess happened to her, like with the vehicle parked or it being somewhere where it wasn't.
So maybe it drove off, not off the bridge, but just before the bridge and ended up going down the embankment and then underneath the
Yeah.
bridge.
What was the location of it again? You said the Robert Edge.
Let's see.
'Cause I think I drive over this all the time.
Old Sanders Road near Robert Edge Parkway.
Old Sanders Road.
Oh, I
I might
forgot.
have run here before.
We had a little slideshow. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking a look at that location. So it said like under this where exactly did it say? Like near the
It didn't
water?
say more than that. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just make sure okay. Yeah, so I can see based off of like that location, I do think there's basically roads coming off of Robert Edge Parkway is kind of like a freeway highway kind of, I don't know, bypass. It's like a highway but not an actual one. And there's like side roads, that's what Old Sanders is. And from there you can drive basically pretty close to like this place called the Intercoastal Waterway where there's, I guess, going to be the bogs and stuff. So to me it sounds like that was intentional to some degree. Like I couldn't tell you if she drove there or she didn't. I think something that does interest me that you mentioned, there's obviously, I guess, the possibility that someone who didn't even know her it was involved. In the case that it was someone who did know her, and there was like some amount of motive, I think something that jumps out to me, at least when you first started talking about it, is you said she was on her way to work, right?
Yep.
And so who is going to know somebody's schedule better than basically who you work with? That most people have access to your schedule and your whereabouts.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, things that like questions I want to ask are like, what restaurant did you work at? What kind of like people were going to be there? And then beyond that,
I got the bridge here. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. This is interesting because this is not what I imagined without seeing this. Let me pull it right up for you.
Because if her car fell off the bridge, like I think she would just be dead from the car falling off the bridge.
Right.
So that looks, I'm not sure if that's the exact location, but that's what came up under.
Yeah, so I think you want to imagine like that general area underneath it, and using the Old Sanders Drive, you can get to you see that area next to the water where there's like, I don't know, green brush and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can approach that from like almost these little side roads. Which that in itself sounds shady because like how did the vehicle get there? So like a huge question too involving like that restaurant or where she worked is like how far was she from getting to her actual destination, assuming that was work.
Yeah, don't know. I mean, how far is this location so I'm assuming that she works probably, there's like I've never been to Myrtle Beach, but there must be an area along the beach where most of the restaurants are.
Yeah,
I mean, or whatever, or a downtown area. How far is this location from that?
You could go across and then you're suddenly they call it the Grand Strand, but down the whole thing there's tons of restaurants, and the profile you're describing is like, that's honestly the average. You said she was 23. Like,
yep,
the average 23-year-old girl in Myrtle Beach is usually working at like a restaurant. And I'll be honest though, because I work in a lot of restaurants and bars down here. And I've been in a ton of them, and like they're gonna vary, but there's like a lot of different people going in and out of these. So I don't know. I have a lot of questions about where she was working, and also on top of that, this might be worth knowing is like when did this take place again? May
3rd of 2013.
Okay, so the reason this is interesting is Myrtle Beach is like a tourist destination, right?
Yeah.
So
So that's kind of off season. Would that be off season at that time?
exactly. It's like it's this dip right before you go into the on season. So like I think that completely eliminates any like if you want to think someone was a tourist or just someone was traveling in
Right.
and minimizes I think the probability of that. It really makes it seem like it was local.
Like it's local.
Yeah.
What do you think, Margaret? Any thoughts?
Well, yeah. Do you have a picture of what she looks like or not? Is she
I
attractive?
do not.
I'm just wondering if she had a stalker, if there's any information like that. And was her car submerged in the water, or did it?
It didn't even say that it was in the water.
Okay,
so,
yeah, okay. But it was. I mean, but they said it was blunt force trauma that she. What exactly do they know what the murder weapon was? Would
no,
bat?
no,
Didn't say what it was.
no.
So this is where the police don't give us enough information.
Right.
Exactly what I
Well,
was
and keep in mind, I didn't research this. I just asked Grok to give us the most,
Yeah.
so we can look into this. Oh, actually, yes, she was very pretty, very pretty.
Did you have a picture?
Oh, if this is the same person, yes, it is. Okay, hold on one second. You're always going to make sure you can get the wrong person.
Oh God, I know. I don't see it.
Here we go. You got it up there now?
Oh yeah, she was very pretty. Yeah. So my thought would be, you see, her boyfriend was in London at the time, but
Yeah.
she's only 23 years old. So, was there somebody else interested in her? Perhaps she, flirting with her who maybe she said, no, sorry, I have a boyfriend.
Right.
It is interesting though. I agree about going to work and there might be somebody at work that would know her work schedule. I agree with that. That's a very interesting observation. But
if I could
interject
on that too, just like based off of I guess experience, like I'll be honest, I've gone through like probably just because I do game shows, trivia and such at like bars and restaurants down here, and so I've seen tons of different staff, and there's like a pattern where a lot of restaurants really need managers or whoever so badly that like they'll get this one bartender, but he's been fired, and like this guy's a weirdo, and he's been fired at like 8 other establishments, and he just bounces to the next one until they fire him and he moves on. So like realistically, I do think like the probability of like just I don't know, somebody being involved from work, it's a pretty, I don't know, a good circle to look at.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm making sure that's the right person too, because that woman does look a little older than 23 to me. So, so he has a different. No, this looks like the same person. So,
yeah, and we'll have to research that further. And maybe what would be interesting is, I'd like to reach out to the retired detectives and the volunteers who are involved down in Myrtle Beach, and we can talk about this case with them as well, because I'm sure they've looked into it. I'll have to tell you about another case too that is from 2003, which is another sad robbery and murder. But any thoughts that you might have, Kevin, on
no, just case? I mean, so you really have to get and so Nemo had the right approach. You really have to get the lay of the land there. Are there dirt roads going down there? We want to know what the circumstances are. Did that vehicle accidentally go off road, which would suggest she was attacked inside the vehicle while she was driving, right? That seems maybe a little bit unlikely. So more likely is that she, for some reason, drove down underneath that bridge. What was going on down there? Well, and I know, you don't want to speculate because you have to be careful about that. But, is she, I don't think like, let's say she's having an affair with someone and she's hooking up with someone. Is she going to do that on her way to work? I don't think so.
No,
that doesn't seem likely. So, is she meeting someone down there to buy some weed? That's a common thing for young people that age, but why would someone that's selling her weed kill her? I mean, I guess it would be a straight up robbery,
Well, unless this was some sort of carjacking as well. Like maybe, we could leave our car doors open and somebody might have jumped in. Who knows?
Right.
But that's
Right.
a case where we reach out to the family. Sometimes they have theories and about these cases. So we'll see if they want to talk to us about that as well.
And the fact that she was ended up outside of the car, lying face down, lying 30 feet from the car, suggests some kind of accident. The accident's not the right word, but something involving the moving vehicle took place there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So whether after somebody hit her, the car rolled on or something like that, or I definitely think that we would need to know more about the circumstances of that. And you're right. This is the kind of thing where, with Nemo down there, and if he makes that connection with these people, with these retired detectives in this group, they would probably be willing to give him that information, and maybe one of them would be willing to come on the show with him. And I think that, and I like his thinking on that, I like his approach to the case. So I think that'd be a good way to go. What do you think, Nemo?
Yeah, honestly, this makes me excited. I know this is like like I said, nothing. I don't know. Nothing stirs me more than like a question unanswered.
Yeah. So what was the next case that you wanted to discuss, Margaret? And feel free to give me any information if you want me to Google it for images.
So it's the Jim Davis cold case. It's what they're working on now. One of the cases, a robbery and a murder.
Okay. I know. Yeah.
It was around 3:30 in the morning in 2003. And 43-year-old Jim Davis was working the overnight shift at the pantry. I know he was divorced and he had a young kid. I forget the age, maybe around 7. So the pantry is a convenience store located at Myrtle Beach. So he worked these shifts, early morning shifts, multiple times before, nothing out of the ordinary. So somebody came in with a gun and basically shot him. And the police say that obviously they believe it was a robbery because he went down, he got shot, he went down, and he was literally lying there dying on the floor behind the counter for quite some time. And the gunman, whoever pulled the trigger, robbed the cash register of all of $43. That's all that was left in the drawer. And then he fled the scene. Now, after that, a regular customer came into the store about 3:31 a.m. to buy cigarettes. And according to the Myrtle Beach police report, which I glanced at, they saw a white male walking toward the restroom, and that customer who was walking towards the restroom appeared to be the only other shopper in the store. So the first guy got money out of the ATM, and then he heard like this moaning coming from behind the counter. And he turns around and he sees several items were scattered all over the floor in front of the register. He sees the drawer open, and then he saw Jim Davis, struggling for his life and moaning as he's on the floor. Now, let's see what else. He called the police. The police came. But there was something else about the case. Obviously he was bleeding all over his body. And, he goes, the guy knew him, that this customer was a good guy. He knew him. And he's like, Jim, just hold on. I'm going to go get help. But at that point, he saw, I think that customer goes to his vehicle to get his cell phone to call 911.
Yeah.
All right. And as he walked
outside, he had seen someone going in the bathroom too, right?
Yeah, he saw somebody go in the bathroom. That then, as he walked outside, another man driving a blue pickup truck pulled up and went into the store. And
then 2 guys came out of the bathroom.
I think, right? I'm trying to remember. The customer saw somebody else coming out of the store. Yeah, an additional person coming out of the store with that guy. So, they gave a description, and I looked it up. There's an interesting wanted poster from the police, and so they did some investigative work, but and of course the cameras weren't working. So at first the police were like, oh, at least we can go check the cameras. But the other weird thing is the two men. There are two men that started talking to the driver in the blue truck, and then all three of them left before the police arrived. So it was just that was kind of odd. They were probably involved in the robbery, my guess. But they've never solved that.
Scene. The whole thing feels like a Quentin Tarantino crafted scene, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I feel really bad. So the son, who was young at the time, he was living with his dad. He was very close to his dad. Everybody said that this Jim Davis was a really nice guy. Like, people would come into the convenience store and say, I don't have any money for my kid. So he'd buy the kid, he'd buy them food and stuff like that. But, it rocked the community because, again, he was a nice guy. So the kid now grew up, and he went on social media to bring awareness to his dad's case. And this wasn't very long, maybe 2 years ago. And he had at least 300 tips that as soon as he put it up on social media. So I'd like to maybe reach out to him as well, because, it's like, you would think a robbery gone bad like that they would have caught the people by now.
So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, this was so successful that Nemo just got hired by a private detective agency to go help solve one of these cases. No, I'm just kidding. But Nemo has to take off. He has something else that he has to take care of, some business tonight. But it was great having him here.
Yeah.
And it's great start. And I think this is very promising, Nemo. Margaret will help set you up with these people that do the unsolved cases down there. And I think you'll be our man on the street down there, and we'll see if we can find a way to plug you into Albuquerque too.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Like, I'm glad to meet both of you guys. And yeah, again, I'm excited for this whole opportunity. It's, again, just something I'm definitely really interested in terms of, I guess, from an investigative, perspective.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
It'll be awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Everybody,
I'm gonna head out.
Thank you, Nemo. Good to see you, and we will see you soon.
Okay. Take care.
So that's Nemo, and we have our man on the street, or woman on the street, as it may be, in other cities around the country too. And this is developing. So this is a new part of what we're going to be doing. And I think if you give it a chance, it's going to grow and it's going to be more interesting. You can see this is a really intelligent kid, and he had some good approach, I think, to the general approach to the way we would want to look at a case like this. And so, and thank you very much, Margaret, for bringing some of those cases to our attention.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about, oh my gosh, I've been dying to talk about this all night, and it's too bad Nemo had to go, but I want to talk about the boogie board guy.
And then we'll do the boogeyman right after that. Right after that, we'll go to, sure. Then we'll go to the boogeyman right after that.
Yeah.
The X-Files version of Yellow Cottage Tales. All right, so what am I looking up?
Okay, I sent you pictures of the guy, the boogie board guy with his sonar. I emailed you those pictures.
What do you mean? Is that in the one that I did earlier? No.
I sent you 2 emails. In the second email, there's a batch of photos that has this guy.
I didn't see this.
Part of the community that has taken action. So, all right. Okay. Well, I will start talking about this.
Yeah, anyway, while you're talking, I'll start bringing them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy's name is Jason Surata. All right. And he was, again, the Myrtle Beach area where the community is taking action because they have such a high unsolved, cold case and missing persons data or statistics. So he basically built the sonar device, and it's on top of a boogie board, and he uses the device to scan bodies of water in hopes of bringing closure to families of missing loved ones. So 4 families in the last 6 months have actually received answers to lifelong questions of where is our missing loved one? I mean,
That's
just on what
incredible.
this guy has been doing. And so I have a picture of that. That's him.
Yeah.
And so what he does is he takes his boogie board and the sonar and he goes to areas where somebody was last seen, where a cell phone was last pinged, and there's a body of water. So he takes the unit, and you'd be surprised. I was reading multiple articles on him, and there'll be many vehicles underwater. We don't realize how many vehicles are off like a bridge or a boat ramp. So in one particular case, he found, I think it was a Jeep with like 3 or 4 missing people in it. And, of course, he found them dead, but he brings the bodies back to the family. And what they go down, and he has a diver that works with him, and they go down and they take pictures. And I think that's the boogie board. And I think they have a picture of that one Jeep that had the kids there, the people in it, the teens or whatever it was. And then they called the police, and the police went down one of the devices found a car. This was North Carolina. There was a North Carolina creek with missing men inside. And it was as a result of this guy and his little device, he closed a 40-year-old cold case. And since then, he uses his free time to search all sorts
That's
of
the feeling we want, right?
Water. What?
That's the feeling we want, right, Margaret, to eventually help solve some 40-year-old case.
Yeah, but I think it's cool how this guy's like, okay, well, the police maybe they're not looking anymore, or maybe they don't want to spend the money with their expensive dive units, and perhaps the cadaver dogs they can actually smell bodies through water. Well, those resources clearly they didn't find these people. It happened to be this guy and his ingenious sonar boogie board. So, I mean, I really would like to have this guy on because, as far as cold cases and missing person cases, I mean, it's right up our alley, Kevin.
And you think about it, there really are a lot of cases that involve the water. People that disappear into the water. A lot of times if a vehicle does go into the water, depending on the circumstances, you could see where it might not be that easy to find right away, and depending on how deep it goes or at all, there's a lot of vehicles that are down underwater in lakes and ponds and rivers. And,
can you imagine what we could find if we bring this guy up to Boston in the Charles River? We could find maybe some of the missing people from around here, like some of Whitey's old bodies.
Right. Exactly.
And he also works with this diver called by the name of Adam Brown, who has Adam Brown Adventures in Columbia, South Carolina, and they've teamed up to actually work together. So as soon as they find something that looks like there might be people in there, he goes down and dives, and then they call the police. So it's
Here's
really
an example, I think, of one of the images that he would get. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, that's the image that I found, and that is actually an image that had 4 dead bodies in it.
Yeah. And how long were they down there?
Oh God. Well, the one from North Carolina, they were down there for 40 years.
40
I don't know how
years.
long that one was down there, but can you imagine 40 years? And this guy goes and solves it. So we've got to get him on. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, that would be a great guest. Did you discover any other interesting cases today, or?
I was just really focusing on, how the community came together to solve some of these cases where the police either don't have time, or they've been sitting for 40 years. People call in and they don't get answers. So I think Myrtle Beach just had a unique and different approach to it. Not to say that other cities in the country haven't tried that approach, but I think if the community comes together, they get more guys like the boogie board sonar guy, and we might bring some closure to some of these cases. Even one case to bring closure to a family would be something special for them.
That convenience
we have a lot
store
of water around here.
That convenience store one is kind of wild too, where that guy is so lucky to have gotten away with his life. So he walks into the store right as one of the killers is walking into the bathroom and it would seem that one of the other killers was already inside the bathroom, and they were waiting for someone to come pick them up. And
Yeah.
why did did they not know that this guy came in? Why didn't they kill this potential witness?
I don't
And then
know.
and then their buddy shows up in the truck, and then they just
Yeah.
calmly walk out of the bathroom, and again are seen again to some degree, and are allowed to just get in the truck and go. I mean, why do they let this guy live? Why were they so casual about it? It's just very interesting, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting and it's very sad. And it was in January of 2025, actually, not long ago, six
Oh,
months
I
ago,
didn't.
8 months ago, that the young son, who's now grown up,
Yeah,
just went on social media. And it's like, I've had enough of waiting and waiting for justice, so I'm going to take it into my own hands. And it'd be great to have him on as well, because some of these
right.
cases, it's just, think about if it's his dad, and how sad.
Somebody knows something.
Yeah.
That's the thing with almost all of these cases. Somebody knows something,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of getting them to come forward. And as time goes by, people tend to say, "Oh, I'm just going to be quiet." But then if they see it being covered again, there is a chance that somebody will come forward. And
Yeah.
a lot of times they may, they're nervous. They don't want to get killed themselves. They don't want to stir anything up, but it's eating away at their conscience, because they heard something, right? So,
Yeah.
there were 4 people that were involved. At least 2 were inside that convenience store,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think there was 2 other ones that were in the truck, right? So all
Yep.
4 of those people, they know, and it
Mhm.
might even be the case that one of the people inside the truck didn't know what had happened inside the store, and so they're
Right.
feeling now like, oh, they're carrying that weight with them all these years, like, oh my God, my buddies killed this guy for $43, and then
Yeah,
we went
no,
out and
it's
just
super
got
sad.
drunk on it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's why we want to do this here is
Oh, yeah.
Zeke
Absolutely.
says,
You know, it's super. It's and then some of the cases have been solved. Some of these cases uh, have been solved by this group, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool that
but
they've done all that.
well, let's give it a few minutes just to see if anybody has any questions or comments in
Okay.
chat that we want to respond to, and then we'll call it a day. And I can
Yeah.
tell everybody that I talked to Jen Coffenaffer earlier, and she's on board with everything that we're doing next week. We'll be starting our first. Jen will be on every Wednesday night, and so she'll be on again next Wednesday and we'll be talking more about Summer Wells. And then on the 26th next week. Is that what day is the 26th? Is that Monday? No, let's see. That's Tuesday, I think.
Okay.
I think that's Tuesday. We'll be having me and you will be on with Erin Warshauer, one of my old partners on the show, to talk about Molly Bish.
Good.
And she
I'm really
also
looking forward to that. That's going to be a fabulous show, Kevin. We really need to promote that because it's been 25 years. It's the anniversary year of the disappearance of Molly Bish, and that's a big Massachusetts case. And God, I feel for the family. So let's promote that. Maybe make a Molly Bish week. Maybe we'll have more to talk
yeah.
about.
And I see in chat my old friend Zeke. Believe it or not, Zeke was one of my regulars way back in the day before the name that shall not be mentioned, right? Before the coverage of
Yep.
her case. But he was always a regular with us, but he's a very smart guy, especially with tech. But he's in Australia, so it's tough for him to watch all the shows too, different time zone. But,
Yeah.
we have other peoples that are like that too,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nice everybody joined us again. And of course, Kevin and I, we're just, we're sort of putting it together. We're almost, these little snippet shows are teasers. And as you can tell, I can imagine you guys are seeing my enthusiasm for this whole project. I mean, my God, like it's really exciting that we can maybe make some sort of difference or make the
Mhm.
family, like what was your famous line today? Well, famous, but you said for me when we talked to the police.
I forget. It was
Yes, the police. So, when I run into, I've run into some issues with trying to get.
Oh, it's an opportunity to show how they never give up on a case.
Yeah. So if we present it to the police, like, hey, come on board with us, at least help us a little bit, because it's your opportunity to show that we, the police, never give up on a case. We never give up on
Right.
justice. So if we
Right.
can
Right.
convince them that it's something for them as well, then maybe we'll get some of them on board.
And you never know, like, the pathway that these things will kind of go, right? So
Yeah.
I discovered Nemo through a Craigslist ad that I just randomly decided to throw in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And because of that, Margaret started researching Myrtle Beach, and
Yeah.
then lo and behold, they have a program that's very similar to what we would love to do. And if we reach out to them and start to build a relationship with them, we might be able to take that to other police. So, for instance, the work you were doing earlier in the week with Situate,
Yeah.
and say, look, why don't you guys
Yeah.
do this? Why aren't you doing something similar to this? So I think things have a way of becoming meaningful that you can't always anticipate ahead of time. They just have a
Yeah.
way of working themselves out. So we're
Yep.
starting out with low numbers now, and that's okay. I've started out from the bottom again before. I've had reboots before on this. So back in the day with when I was leaning towards one side of the case that shall not be mentioned, I had a big following, and Zeke will vouch for that. But then when I kind of flipped, I lost all that following, but slowly rebuilt it up back up to the point where we were having big shows. So now we're back down to the rebuild stage again, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of great contacts, and we're going to continue to grow from here. And
Yeah.
so I think Nemo looks like he's going to be a great addition, and there'll be
Yes.
more Nemos. There will be more Nemos.
That's great. And so, and everybody spread the word if you can. So it'll be quite a great community.
So starting next Monday, every 8:00, you'll be here and we'll be here.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else? Did you guys did I miss any questions in chat or any comments? Anything that anybody wanted to go through? Maui, did you have any questions or anything? Because Maui knows she can just.
Thank you. Thanks
Maui
for the
knows she can
compliments.
just send us questions. Maui can always just send me a message anytime too.
Yeah.
This show has nothing to do with Kate Peters' trivial trials. I mean trivial because they're just so stupid. People trying to
I'm
use
looking forward. Yeah, this
people
is
trying
new.
to use the law enforcement system against her with this trivial charges. So
Yeah.
there was never anything important there.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know the answer to that one, but yeah, if you please reach out too if you have any other questions, or if there are any cases you guys would like to discuss in the future.
That's
That'd
right.
be
Or if
great.
you want to join the team in any way,
Yeah.
you want to help us out in any
Yeah.
way, just please let us know.
We'll send you out in the field. I'll send you into the Whitey Bulger territories. Send you to Medford.
Margaret will send you looking for Whitey's bodies.
I will. I think I know where some of them might be, but I'm not going to tell, or they'll kill.
Yeah, so you might not want to take that assignment, but
I know.
unless you're
But this
really,
is
really,
great.
really bold. All right, guys. So let's
right.
call it a night. And tonight's Wednesday. Tomorrow night's Patriots' third and final exhibition. So
Ooh,
look forward to
awesome.
seeing that. All right, guys.